friend?
How are you? You look great.
You look great too. I manifested this. I've been wanting to talk to you pretty much this whole time because as a music lover, as an Imagine Dragons lover, when the pandemic happened, some of us lean in on music to help us process the world, to help us process our emotions. And the whole time I just wanted you guys to write an album because I wanted to see how you would process the world. So I've been waiting for this moment the whole time. What I didn't expect was that I ended up following your journey anyways with your family and your wife and your kids. And I found solace in that. And I fell in love with Valentine, by the way, like madly in love with your son. Yeah.
You and me both.
But you were still so available to us on social media, and you were so vulnerable. And I think that one thing I've always loved about you is your vulnerability. You've learned to use it as a superpower. So how are you so brave, and why is it so important for you to connect like you do on Twitter, on social media, where you give us so much access?
Well, first of all, thank you. And you're very kind. And
it's the truth.
This has been a really, really hard few years. It really has for everyone, for a million different reasons, whether it's health or mental health or just politics or whatever's going on, the divisiveness. I find a lot of solace in, it's interesting because I'm always kind of facing this juxtaposition where I want to share. But I also I'm really an introvert. I hardly ever go out. I stay at home almost every single day with my family, which I love because I love my kids and I love my wife, which is awesome. It's pretty much all I need right there. But sometimes you just need to speak your truth because it makes you feel fulfilled, and I found that social media helps me to do that in times. I'll take breaks here and there because I'm just like, this isn't helping me. And then there's times where I'm like, this is good. I feel like connected to a community. And especially now when the world just feels like there's no communication, just everybody feels so distant from each other, not just physically, but just we feel like there's gaps just so wide between everybody. And that this record is all about, this is our biggest record as far as length. I can't tell you exactly. My manager will already kill me for saying that, but this is our record as far as length. But we took 3 years off. So what do you expect? We have so much material that we wrote during that time. And it's my favorite record. It's definitely our most personal, by far my most honest record, for better or for worse. And Rick Rubin, who produced it, really pushed us to some uncomfortable places. And I think that was important to go there. And
can we talk about Rick for a second? Because ever since I was a little girl, he created some of my, the music that I grew up with. And I've known who Rick Rubin is since I was a child. And I remember the first time he walked into one of my stations, he walked in with Jay-Z. So I was like double floored. But he doesn't even seem like a real person. I'm like, I wonder if all of his wisdom is in his beard. He's just, gosh, he's Rick Rubin. And were you intimidated at all, or were you like ready to go?
His energy immediately reminded me of a couple people in my life that I'm most close to. My mother, her mother, my grandmother, and my wife. All three of them are you get what you see. They are, and I've always connected with that on a deep level. It's like, there's no BS, there's no frills, and they're not going to waste time talking about things that are meaningless. They're just going to sit down with you and they're going to talk about the things that are most important in life. And if you ask their opinion on something, you sure as hell are going to get it, and it's going to be direct. It's never going to be malicious, but it's going to be honest, and it might hurt your feelings sometimes. Those are the people I connect with. I really care about not hanging out with people who are hurting your feelings all the time, but hanging out with honesty. Like
necessary. I call it necessary communication. It's necessary.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that really is what Rick was immediately, and that diffused everything for me. Once I saw, the first time we met, it was on a Zoom, and then we ended up doing the whole record together in person for over a month at Shangri-La in Malibu at his studio. But when I met him immediately on Zoom, I certainly went into it being like, I don't know what to expect here. I don't know that I would say I was nervous as much as I just didn't know what to expect. Rick, a lot of my favorite records, but the second that he started speaking, I really understood that energy, and I I connected with it immediately. And since then, we both have become really good friends. I talk to him almost every single day. I love Rick. Rick is a really good human. He's really honest. He's really passionate.
Curious, and
Obviously,
he's a curious human being.
very curious, very
Yeah.
curious. And I couldn't say enough good things about Rick. I really see him as an important figure in my life now. I love Rick.
So with the album, what did he push out of you guys? Did you get to a place that you were like, oh, we can do that? I want to do that. Like, what was the most surprising thing that you found out about yourself or your bandmates?
You know, Rick would say something to me quite often that shook me quite a bit at first. He would say, I don't believe you when you sang that. And at first I really didn't understand what I was like. Look, what do you mean? Like, this is about a really personal thing right here. And I'm saying it and I'm singing it. I'm not making this up. This is important to me. Say, I know, but I don't believe you there. And we would dig in on what that meant and how to get past that and to get it to a place where the honesty came across. And that really, it's one small point of a million that he made, but that really, I bring it up because it really was all parts of the record were treated like that. It was like, don't overthink things, but always make sure that the honesty is coming across through the music. And that's why I would say this is absolutely my most vulnerable record, because when you're honest, it's going to be vulnerable sometimes, you know? He pushed me to places that I typically would hide. Especially when I started as an artist, I was really overly metaphorical in all my lyrics because I was fearful of my parents, people I love, my wife, listening to the song, getting their feelings hurt. For that reason alone, I would just be way overly metaphorical. Whether it was like Radioactive, which was about depression, but people hear it and they think it's about a post-apocalyptic, which is, I totally understand why they would, but that was me dealing with depression and trying to get out of it. And I didn't want anybody to know that because I just got married. You think I want my wife to know that I was depressed? You know, that she think it's about her or something, you know? So, Rick pushed me though past that to be more vulnerable lyrically, so the lyrics are more direct, and that's a scary thing. But I think that's important to me. A lot of my favorite songwriters were that way: Cat Stevens, Bob Dylan, Paul Simon. So no.
Isn't it fascinating how once you start using your vulnerability as a superpower, or once you start being honest, you can't go back. Like, and then that's how you live. You set yourself free in a way. Did it change you as a person to get to that place musically?
Yeah, and that has been it's been a 10-year journey for me, you know, whether it was a spiritual crisis, whether it was saving a marriage that needed to be saved. Not every marriage needs to. Ours needed to be. She's the woman for me, you know. And so there were a lot of things that I've been trying to do for, you know, it's taken a long time, and I'm still not there yet. And that's what life is about, right? Is like eventually, hopefully, becoming the best version of yourself. But especially this 3 years has been a real growing period for me. So hopefully it's captured in the record when people feel it when they listen.
I know I don't have a lot of time with you, but I promise you we're going to have a continued conversation because we could talk for days. But I wanted to share something with you because I won't make it about this, but I do want to talk to you about, I have one question. The December of 2020, I started my journey with plant medicine. So I sat my first ceremony, and you know what I mean by that. And I'm on my fourth now. And I went into it with the intention that I don't need to carry the things I'm carrying anymore. And I want to put them down. And it has been the most profound healing and the most profound, I think, journey that I've ever had. And one day you and I will get into that. But I want Dan to answer this for me. Why do you think clarity is important?
It goes hand in hand with honesty. It's my whole life has been, the struggles of my life have all come from things that are meaningless getting in the way, and focusing on things that I shouldn't be focusing on because it holds no merit, and searching to see the truth in everything. And so when I think of clarity, I think of truth. I think of the things that matter. And it's funny because from the second we started this conversation, I totally felt that plant medicine vibe about you, which is only something that people could relate to. And it sounds it's so there's so much depth to that and so much to talk about for another day.
Yeah. We'll do that.
But
We'll dig.
it was incredibly healing for me.
Terrifying and healing.
So that's the whole reason I'm not, the last thing I want to do is be like the trite explanation guy who's like, everybody should do this thing.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But for me, it was life-changing. For me, it especially with someone who's dealt with so much depression and anxiety, I am worlds healthier because of it. And I wish that it was more available and more studied, because I think that it could do a lot for a lot of people. But yes, it was very terrifying for me.
I want to also commend you for what you did with your childhood home. Can you explain it a little bit for people that don't know? Because I think it's a beautiful gesture.
I was fortunate to grow up in a house with really loving, accepting parents who, even when I was struggling with the religion that I was raised in a Mormon family, and religion was just not for me. It didn't sit well with me since I was even young, but my parents still loved me and celebrated me and were always there for me. Now my parents were going to sell that house this last year. This house that I grew up, they've had it for 30 plus years here in Las Vegas, right in the center of Vegas. And this is really wild, but this sounds hokey as well. But I literally just had a dream that I bought the house, and that it continued on doing what it has done, which is provide a safe, accepting place for my family and for a lot of our friends growing up. When someone would get kicked out of the house, they would come stay at the Reynolds house. So anyway, there's a charity called Encircle out of Utah that provides therapy and provides a safe celebratory environment for our LGBTQ youth, for their families. So when they come out to their families, they can learn what it means to be celebrated and how the parents can be good, healthy, wonderful parents to these children. And also for a community, they have events where they get to meet other LGBTQ kids. And especially in very religious communities, this is needed. These kids need this. They need to know that they're celebrated. They're perfect just the way they are. Anyway, so I was able to purchase my parents' house. I called them, got their blessing, purchased it for them, and then we donated it to Encircle, me and my wife. And it'll be the first Encircle house here in Las Vegas. There's already some in Utah and other places in the US that are now opening up. But yeah, so that's Encircle. You should check them out. They're incredible if you haven't heard of them. And yeah.
There's a lot of beautiful things going on for you and the band. And I don't like to say pandemic anymore because I'm so over that word, these challenging. So I say the transformation. I call it the transformation. I was like, we went through the transformation. Now here we are, and hopefully we've learned a few things. I want to say before I let you go, because I think this is important for you to hear. I've followed you forever. I know how you've dealt with the trolls and the critics, even your own inner critic. And I want you to know that as an Imagine Dragons fan, I know my heart is good because I'm a fan of your band. So it's like a badge of honor for me. So I want you to know that, because I know that there's a lot of angry people in the world that like to come at us. Yep. And you're a good man. Your bandmates are good men. And the music that you write speaks to the world that I want to live in. And it's honest and it's beautiful. And I can't wait to hug you, truthfully.
Thank you. That means a lot, really. Seriously.
And I can't wait to hopefully at a show meet your children, because I remember when you used to bring Cheeks to the show when she was a baby, and she's not a baby anymore.
She's 8 now. It's crazy. Isn't that wild?
It's so wild, because she was a baby 5 minutes ago. Really quick, how has having a boy changed you? Because you've been surrounded by women this entire time.
Yeah, I have, which I've loved. Honestly, yeah. I absolutely loved it. And I'm glad that he gets that too. He's going to be like by his older sisters who are just badasses. He is, it's hard for me to even talk about him without getting emotional, because he has been so fantastic for me.
So cute.
He is my best bud already. And he's just especially during the pandemic, like seeing innocence every day. That's just pure and so much joy, just running the house. No need for a phone or to have attention. He just is happy because he's happy, and he's just the happiest baby. It just, I don't know, it puts things in perspective for me every day.
Yeah, it's like, I call it, it's like an open window in a very small closed room, like having a kid running around, that innocence. It's like opening a window. Really? The album, I know I can't ask you the name. I know that you can't tell me much, but can you give me like a season that we might have it, like winter, spring, summer, fall kind of situation before the end of the year?
Definitely before the end of the year, and
okay,
and sooner than that as well.
Okay. Take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could put it out now. It's being mixed right now. The record's complete.
Okay.
We've recorded the whole thing. It's just being mixed, and once it's put together, even the artwork and the title,
Okay.
we have all of that. So it's going to be out here soon.
Well, Follow You is a beautiful masterpiece, and Cutthroat has teeth and it has bite, and I love it so much. So thank you for sharing that with us, Dan. It is always such a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you. I miss you, and welcome back.
I miss you as well. It's always a pleasure, Nicole.
Okay. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
See you in person soon.
See you in person.